Hey guys, so what's up? You're gonna show me this talking goat you hang out with or what?
All right, but we can't stay long.
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Grind and Burn, a podcast from the Cannabis Community Project, broadcasting weekly high up from the Dank Studios 3835 Denver, Colorado, here exploring the business side of this newly emerging economy while living the lifestyle. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and this week we're highlighting Dairy Berry's Recording Studio. Find him at dairyberriesrecordingstudio.com or call Mark at 303-456-8216. Welcome back, Cannapreneurs, to another fabulous show that I've put together for you. I wish I could say it was another beautiful Saturday, but it is cold here in Denver. I don't know what's going on. I think somebody forgot to tell spring that it's April showers bring May flowers. I don't know where all this snow and cold and hail and just miserable weather is coming from. Anyways, today's show, we have a whole bunch of stuff going on, finishing up our 420 week, everything I was able to visit, the events. No big events. The Cannabis Cup didn't come through, and all the other Dimmy events got shut down or just didn't really seem to be that much. Didn't want to go hang out at Civic Center Park. I knew what that was all about, just people smoking weed, hanging out at a park. So I went to some different events, some hemp events, and talked to some interesting people. And that's what I hope that this end of 420 week gives you some more inspiration to make April, since it is now the end of April, your official entrepreneur month, Cannapreneur month, April. Register your business, get it up and going, and then you can come on the show and talk about it. Just like Parker Potts, who I talked to out of Las Vegas with her new planting pots, and I'm not even going to try to explain it because, as most of you know, I am not a grower, but she's going to explain it. It's very interesting. And then we're going to jump right into a couple more chats I had with some fellers from the Industrial Hemp Research Foundation fundraiser. Talked to some more business owners that were there giving speeches and representing. We'll learn about them in some short segments. But like always, let's make sure we remember what we did last week. For all you stoners out there, here is your short-term memory flashback relapse. Looking back at last week's show, what did you think about Jeremy? Did you learn a lot about growing? Maybe. We didn't get too technical. But did you learn something more about leadership and being part of an organization? Listen in to the full show. Make sure to like, share, comment. Rate me on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you're listening from. I want to hear from you. This is your community. Grind and burn.
Okay. Hi, I am Jeremy Krause. I am the new grow manager here at Dank. Been working here for about a year and 3/4, about 2 years now, and just recently become the grow manager back around Christmas time, 2015.
What is the official policy when working in a regulated grow room as far as consumption goes?
Nothing. We have absolutely nothing on site, nothing on the premises. For what it's worth, I don't know what's going on.
From a policy standpoint?
Policy standpoint, it's illegal.
Okay.
Absolutely illegal. The seizures came back had another seizure.
On the job.
No, but what had happened is I went to the doctor. They said, you can't be a driver anymore. I lost my job.
Due to a medical condition, isn't that disability?
Trust me, I looked all into it. I had a lawyer working with me. I worked with the Epilepsy Foundation. Yeah.
But you weren't in an accident.
No.
Because they found out you had epilepsy?
Yep.
Can they do
Well,
that?
I disclosed it at that point when they basically said we're not going to cover them, and they fired me. And I couldn't buy insurance because I had a pre-existing condition. And Obamacare lifted that and allowed me to go buy insurance and be a grower. Yeah, so that was one job that it got me to the point of learning rejection. I was a personal trainer for a minute. That's pretty tough too. Trying to sell yourself for $75 an hour is not easy. So learning to take rejection was similar to me starting out as a grower and getting my butt kicked by spending time and money on something and then everything going to crap. Yeah.
But it's like here in Colorado, we have Olathe corn. Right? The name, the brand, signifies the corn of
the genetic
quality. Yeah. Right? If we said, hey, how's the corn in Colorado versus the corn in New York, well, then it would be a very, it's debatable.
Yeah.
But if we said, how's the Olathe corn, well, then we're talking about a very specific grow from a specific region.
Yeah. And for a commercial grow, it's nice because our moms are huge plants with a ton of tops on it. Our propagation guy can come through, take 200 clones, 50 Space Queen, 50 Sour Diesel, and maybe 15. We can pick and choose from quality.
Right, that way. Very cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I've taken a lot of it, so I hope we haven't killed any plants by keeping you here too long.
Nope, I got that team. Our team is doing a great job, and I could easily come down here and talk longer if you wanted me to, but I'm sure you don't.
Well, please come back, because I think people want to know more and more about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right? Behind the scenes of a dispensary.
Yeah, our grow is behind our dispensary, so it's literally behind the scenes,
Very cool, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks for having me.
It's 2016. How long have you been thinking about getting involved in the industry? Now is the time. If you have an idea, a business, or just some comments, talk about them with me on this show. The Cannabis Community Project. It's here for you. Reach out and get on. Brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com or from the website under the same name. Hey, Cannapreneurs, let me take a second just to tell you about some friends of mine, as well as close sponsors of the show. Cushly Organic Products. The makers of Cushly have been environmental odor control consultants for more than 30 years. Their company puts out products that are used in hospitals, healthcare facilities, clinics, and homes throughout the United States and beyond. Cushly began as a product to help people who were going through chemotherapy and other patients who were in legal states but still not wanting to deal with the odor that medical marijuana brings when it is smoked. So Cushly has invented this very unique product that works like none other. I use it myself, and many of my close friends and family use it. What it does is it eliminates odor. It doesn't mask it. It's not a perfume. It's not a cologne. It eliminates it. And it's organic and it's non-toxic. Please check them out. They're good friends of the show, and there's a reason for that. It's because I only keep the best around my team, and Cushly is one of the best. www.cushly.com. Also find them on Facebook and other social media under the same name, Cushly Organic Products. Feeling guilty about a time with cannabis? Get it off your chest and confess it on Cannafessions, your public forum to absolve your soul.
New voice message, Wednesday, 4:21 p.m.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I have a funny story. 1972, My first husband and I were driving around with some friends, and we were smoking a joint. And I wasn't used to smoking weed at the time. I was new at it. My husband handed me a joint from the front seat, and I thought he was passing me his cigarette because we shared a cigarette often. And he passed me a joint, and I took a hit off of it and threw it out the window. Oh, shoot, man, I just thought it was a cigarette that he had passed me. My bad. But it was pretty funny.
And that was Cannafessions. If you have a confession to make, contact me via Facebook or the website at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Sweet smile, but I forget your name. Met you once, but I'm not to blame. Drink in hand, and it's a shame that I'm not better.
Hi, my name is Parker Pot. No. My name is Parker, and I've got Parker Pots. It's kind of the same. We save 75% of labor costs in transplanting with our pot. We are currently in Las Vegas, Nevada.
A hand to hold when I feel sweet, and then there's cold, and then there's me. Look out for 23. Maybe I'll be better. Ooh, no.
But I have a background in commercial farming. My family is from Sacramento Valley, California. We've been farming for over 30 years of fruits and vine crops.
And if you want me to walk in line, you should know.
Pot happened to come about because I'm getting a little older and my hands don't work the way they used to. And when you transplant a plant, the first thing you got to do is take that pot and you squeeze the edges of it and squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it. And then you wrap your fingers around the stem, you tip the pot upside down, you give it a couple of thumps, and then the plant comes out in your hand. A lot of times the roots are damaged. Well, my pot doesn't do that. That takes like 30 seconds. It's a really long time. My pot's different. We've got a patent-pending floating bottom disc, and this disc slides into my pot. Now, my pot has no bottom on it. I have slide sides with a little rim on the bottom. So what happens is you slide this disc into the pot, and then you plant your soil and stuff in it normally. Now, when it's time to get ready to transplant, that's when they shine. We take a tool that looks kind of like a candlestick holder, and you place the bottom of the pot on the top of the candlestick holder, and you pull the sides down. And because of the bottom disc free float, it holds the pot, plant, and all of its root system on top of that disc. No jostling of the root, no root shock, no nothing. You swipe off that into another pot. It's literally less than 2 seconds. Now, when you start across a grow of 100,000 plants, that 2 second savings compared to 15 to 30 seconds, you're easily at 900 man hours of labor costs saved just by changing to the pots.
Full of hope but lacking grace, I just want a little taste. But every time I lose my faith that I'll be better. Trees below and grass on high, I wake up next to another guy. Take a bite and wonder why I'll never be better. Ooh, no, 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 no.
Well, not only save money and time, but it also gives the plants a better go at it. Because a lot of times, right now, the way people currently transplant, especially marijuana, is they cut clones. You cut off the mother plant and you put the fresh cut into a root gel, and then you put it into a root cube, and then you put it into a dome tray, and you leave it there for 5 to 7 days and sprouts roots, and then you take the dome off and you transplant it into a small pot. But you don't have to do that with mine. My cup sides, because they are like a top, I have a clear cup. So you have an opaque bottom and a clear top. You cut a cut off the mother plant, you put it in your clone cube, you put your clone cube directly into your pot, unrooted, no roots yet. You put the clear top on top, then you put the air plug disc on the top. Now my pots are ready for full automation. So once that air plug disc is on the top, you can attach that to a little cord and spritz water into that every 12 hours. After about 5 to 7 days, your cube has gotten roots on it. Your plants have gotten roots. Normally, at this time, you would take the dome off, you take those root cubes and transplant them. With mine, you don't. You simply take the clear lid off. That's it. Then you let them finish growing in the pot. Because we cut that entire cycle off, that cuts down microbial problems. It cuts down all kinds of issues with the plant with being jostled. That first transplant is so delicate because the roots are exposed. There's no exposure to the roots because the plant grows from the root cube directly into the soil. You don't even touch it. You just lift the lid off, lift the clear lid off.
And if you want me to walk in line, you should know that I've made up my mind to waste your time.
It's designed for commercial grows, the bigger the better, full automation grows. Also designed for residential grows. It's also designed for plants that are not marijuana. Any plant can be used in it. And it's for the elderly as well because you don't have to squeeze. So Arthritis Foundation, we're going to put that into the Arthritis Foundation and see if we can get approved from it because there's no squeezing. So this is a plant that any age pot that any age person could take the plant out of.
A river runs through my streets, but I don't notice a thing. I try to sing myself to sleep, dreaming of better. I'm singing no, 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 no.
Well, thank you for taking the time out to listen about Parker Pots and what we're doing here. I think we've got a really good program and we're out to help a lot of people, and thank you very much. So now you understand what we're doing out here with Parker Pots and why it's so important to get these pots out there. We want to get roots not jostled. We want to help kids. We want to change the world. If you want to learn more, please look us up on the internet. We're parkerpot.com. Parkerpots.com. We have the S and the not S. There's Parker Pot YouTube channel and parkerpot.com website. Growing is good out there, folks. Send us a comment. Let us know what you think, and have a great day. Be good to one another.
And if you want me to walk in line, you should know that I've made up my mind to waste your time. Suddenly I wonder how the world started ending. Now is it too late to turn around and be better?
I'm a little old lesbian, honey, and I started growing marijuana to help the gay men in San Francisco. I'm from California. And, a lot of them were dying pretty rough death, and marijuana seems to be a good pain relief. So for most of my life, I've grown 2 plants in my closet, hiding from everybody. And then about a year ago, I decided that it was time. This invention I've had for a long time, and it was get to the point where my hands weren't going to work anymore. The tides have changed. Marijuana is no longer the evil as it is. I got plantar fasciitis. I smoke every day. Do you want to smoke or do you want to walk? When it gets down to that, it gets kind of particular. Smoking seems to be a better choice than not walking. There was really a catalyst that happened. By what I'm about to say will ruin any chance of me ever going back to my regular career. My heart's pounding so bad just to tell you what I'm about to tell you because it's about as real as you're going to get. I'm a Clark County High School art teacher. I love my job. I watched kids with epilepsy in my classroom, and I couldn't do anything about it. I have kids that have seizures, what a lot of people don't realize is with the inclusion classes, especially kids with seizures, are in full classes. And to see kids have seizures every day and to know that all they need is Charlotte's Web, we could stop it. I couldn't tell the kids. I couldn't tell the families. I was losing my job. So I took a year off. I took a year off school, and I decided that I had 1 year to make a change so that I didn't have to hide anymore, so that I could be out and so that I could tell people, this really freaking works. It really works. It stops seizures. I watched it. And the worst thing as a teacher is to not be able to help your students, is to see them suffer and not be able to help your students. So my pots are going to be the way I help my students, because part of our focus is we're going to put these pots into a grow kit. And this grow kit, a percentage of the grow kit is going to help veterans with PTSD and other qualifying illnesses. And it's also going to a 501c called Arts Foundation. And I'm going to get art supplies back into the school because the teachers aren't getting any. So this is real close. This is real close to me. This is about as passionate as I can be. I love farming. I love growing. This needed to change, because when you grow marijuana and you jostle those roots, you really change the way the plant continues to grow. This stops all that. I got no shock. My plants don't pass out. I'm getting bigger yields because there's no stopping growing. Now, the next focus is getting in the full automation, then getting companies to donate a certain percent of what they harvest back to organizations that help kids. I'm going to help kids with this. I just don't know how yet, but that's my goal. I got salespeople. These things sell for $3 in the stores. I got salespeople that they go, oh, take a sample set. They get the customers to order a sample set, and the sample set's $25, but it's got a coupon with it, and the coupon is really cool. So you could buy like 100 pots for $1.59 because you could get that kit, that little the coupon in the sample kit, and that way people could try them out at a very inexpensive price. But it's been pretty good, because every single grower that I put these in the hands to, they don't even ask the price. They go, when can we get them? Well, it changes everything, because they're totally reusable. You use them over and over and over. It's that time. It's that 15 to 25 seconds for every plant. And I didn't know how much it really added up. It just really added up. Like, this 100,000 grow, we figured it out. It was almost 900 man hours. 9,000, if you're paying $10 an hour, I don't know what you guys pay, but out here in California and Nevada, it's like $10 an hour. And so if you're paying $10 an hour, that's $9,000 plus taxes, plus, Uncle Sam's going to get their share. So how much is $9,000 by the time you add in all the stuff we got to pay as business owners? What, $15,000 or $14,000? It's stupid with the amount of money we got to pay in. So that's a big chunk every month, every transplant.
I'm here to rectify. Don't let them shut me up quick. For this shit common sense. For they abolish it.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Bush. I'm the president of the Industrial Hemp Research Foundation, and I'd like to welcome you to the very first fundraising activity that the IHRF has put on. We're at the Greenhouse in Denver, and we have a lot of interesting things going on today. We have several speakers on the general topic of industrial hemp on the cutting edge in Colorado. So we have people talking about some of the newest developments and most recent happenings in the industrial hemp industry. We have some demonstrations going on for hemp fiber, hemp building materials. We have some people who are in the industry selling consumer products. They're here today to sell some of their products and show them off. And we also have a very interesting silent auction that features a lot of hemp-related products as well as some other things. While they're at it, we also have some good refreshments, and I think we're just going to have a very good time networking with one another and learning more about the hemp industry.
I didn't get the chance to really do any research, and I don't have any bios in front of me, and this is a cold little conversation.
Do you want to get a
I'd
bio
rather
first?
just ask you and have you kind of talk about it, and that way it doesn't feel so
we're good.
like I'm reading off of a page.
So my name is Michael Bright, and I am the CEO of a consulting company here in Denver, Colorado, and indeed internationally, that is called Bright and Early LLC.
I love the name.
My business partner's name is Kevin Early. So
okay. Yeah. So it wasn't just you, it was him also. And you're a business consulting style. What is your specific focus? Is it hemp-based?
You know what? The answer is yes, it is definitely hemp-based, but hemp as in cannabis. So there's the three different sides. The recreational side, because there's companies, people starting companies and businesses on the recreational side, the THC side specifically, and then the medicinal side, and then over here is the industrial hemp side. So the three different canoes going down the same river, or whatever metaphor you want to use.
You are in all three of those. You're not
absolutely.
Specifically just saying I'm a
That's
hemp
exactly
only
right.
guy, regardless of the fact we are at a hemp event.
We already have an
I'm
event.
sure a lot of people are crossover. As myself, I like to talk to hemp people as well as the other side, the marijuana side.
I had a conversation with somebody. I've had this conversation with 3 or 4 people, but one guy said it best. I said, so what happens after the THC side or the medicine side? You know, if the federal government decides to mess with you or changes or the advocacy or legislation or something or other happens, and, what's your timeline? And he says, oh, no, we all know that it's 3 to 5 years. I said, then what happens? And he goes, industrial hemp. And I said, why? He goes, well, because that has legs. This is a blip. And how long the blip lasts, we don't know how long they will allow us, whoever they are, will allow us to sell a THC type of product without more regulation. And, if it gets reclassified, who knows what's going to happen then? Because if it goes from being seen as a class 1 narcotic, well, what does class 2 actually look like? Well, that's FDA trials. To be really straight with you. I mean, if you're going to go from class 1 to class 2, then if you're going to call it a medicine, then guess what? It's going to be treated like a medicine. In the United States, we happen to do that a certain way. That's called the FDA.
And this was the gist of your presentation that you just gave. Legitimize, make it professional, back it up with numbers, show that the industry is there, make it be just as much as if it were corn, although don't let it turn into what the corn industry has turned into, I think was your exact paraphrase there. So there's a lot going on in the business. You're trying to keep your fingers on all three sides. What's the ultimate goal of where you're heading?
Right now in my career, I am defying, not defining. The reason I say that, the bottom line is I have found that there's a whole bunch of entrepreneurs that need to figure out how to do this business stuff because they're being asked for a pitch deck. What the heck is a pitch deck? They're being asked for pro forma documents. Let's look at your numbers. So if you step into an investor conversation where they're going towards debt or where they're going towards an equity play, they want to know what your numbers are. Yeah. Well, how do you get there? What in the world? So there's a little bit of that conversation where an entrepreneur goes, well, I guess I can throw something together, but where do I even start?
Right.
It's an Excel spreadsheet. Well, then you kick it out a whole bunch of months and you stick some numbers in there. Then there's that conversation. So I'm doing a lot of that for different companies, and I really like that. I usually tend to sit down with an entrepreneur or somebody that's got some idea, and a couple of hours later and about 30 or 40 questions later, I have a really good feel for where they're at, what they're doing, why they're trying to do it and what their resources are to try and get this accomplished. And out of the conversation, a week or two later, I wind up delivering to them an Excel spreadsheet that has all of their products, all the stuff that's in their brain that's floating around. It lands on a piece of paper in little cells on the Excel spreadsheet, and then it's kicked out 36 months, every single month for 36 months, and then all the way to 10 years. Okay, so every single month for 10 years, and you ramp it up. So somebody's got to go through the brain work of just simply setting down and taking what's in an entrepreneur's mind. And a lot of times it's the entrepreneur, and a lot of times it gets done very, very, very well.
And it's probably not 10 years thought out in their mind.
Of course not. If they make it, if they can make their mortgage this month, we're really doing good. I'm a happy guy if I made my mortgage this month. Well, you know, and anything past 18 months to 3 years, anything out there, your total guess anyway, because too many things can change. But have you gone through the brain work to at least think about it?
Right.
You know, what if this thing really does take off? What happens if the laws let us do that? What happens if I get involved and I make things happen? What happens if I really do get the marketing side going and I really do get the production dialed in and I really do get my costs under control and
people
really
actually
do,
like my product.
I have sales now. What do I do now? I've never been successful in anything in my whole life. Yay, touchdown. Here we go. And inside that conversation, you vision that stuff. And get somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, to write this stuff down. Yeah. And then after you get some numbers done, then you can start into a business plan. Keep it very, very simple. Just who, what, when, where, why. And it can be 10 pages. The best possible thing is you have one page for every single thing. You know, I'm going to do production in this way, and I'm going to do sales in that way, and I'm going to talk to these people and do those things. And there's very simple ways to do business plans. And from there, once you get that done, then you roll it all up into an executive summary. And then when you push all that into a PowerPoint presentation, that's called your pitch deck. You have to go through all that brain work to get to a pitch deck. 15 or 20 PowerPoint slides that describe everything that we just talked about there. All that stuff, all the numbers, all that work there rolls up into one, maybe two PowerPoint presentation slides. But if you don't know, just like Shark Tank, right? Yeah. If you don't know the numbers, if you don't know what the cost of a unit, I call it unit economics. I've never heard anybody say that term before, but unit economics. Yeah, I'm going to coin it right now. But unit economics, you've got to know what every single unit costs, and then as it changes over, you know, quantities. Right. I mean, if I make 100,000 units, then it's less expensive than if I make 30 units, you know? And so having that built into an Excel spreadsheet, man,
walking them through those whole economies of scale.
All that rolls into due diligence. You do all of that so that you can have a conversation with somebody, and it might be your uncle that has made a little bit of money. He's going to want to know what your unit economics are. He's going to want to know, what are your plans? How do you control costs? What are you going to do here? Come on, son. You know.
Well, I mean, everybody, because of Shark Tank and other type shows like that, people are a little more savvy. Just in general, the general public is a little more savvy, and people expect you to ask them about the number.
All right, so my name is Gregory Flores, CEO of Industrial Processors Corp. Came out to Colorado a year and a half ago from New York City, Brooklyn born, in order to help pioneer hemp food processing. You know, there are food manufacturers that want to use hemp seeds, hemp seed oil, protein powder, etc. in their products. There are farmers who want to grow it, but there is no real infrastructure focused on helping those farmers turn their harvests into a raw material for those product manufacturers. And after doing a lot of research, coming from the finance industry, I'm working at a hedge fund back in New York, and just kind of delving into the hemp market. You know, I first heard about Ryan Laughlin harvesting for the first time in 2013. It seemed like a great opportunity, and I felt like processing was the least capital-intensive way to get involved in the industry, and the most profitable right away.
Nice. Where'd you move from?
Brooklyn, New York.
Nice. Yeah. East Coaster.
So the first time I came out here actually was February of 2014. After doing about 6 months of research on industrial hemp, saw that Colorado was the first state to get it approved to grow commercially. And I convinced one of my partners or one of my colleagues at the hedge fund to come out here with me, as well as two good friends. We stood in downtown Denver for about a week. We met people from the NHA, some entrepreneurs, and just people getting started up a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years now. Yeah. That was February 2014, and I moved out here by September of 2014.
You were hooked.
Yep. I loved what I saw. I loved the people, the energy, the climate. And
Denver.
Yeah, just brought me out here.
Gotcha. It's very common, just like the pollution the mountains trap
Right.
people in.
Yeah.
Did you go through a shell shock, a cultural shock? I mean, did you live all your life in New York there?
Mostly.
So coming to this part of the country is obviously a very different, just geographically as well as culturally and the whole deal. You've been here a year and a half now. What's the transition like?
Well, luckily, I moved around a lot as a child. So
Military parents?
Well, no, but they split up, and my
Sales?
mother was a registered nurse.
Oh, okay.
And she had an agency that paid for housing anywhere she went. She would get up and go to the market that had the most demand for nurses.
Yeah.
And so I lived in Florida, Virginia, North Carolina, Arizona.
Okay.
I got a
Moving
feel for
around,
it,
yeah.
but about 7 years straight in New York before moving out of there.
Yeah. So are you here to stay now? Do you think Denver, Colorado might be the place, or are you looking at Washington, Oregon, California?
I kind of like the Midwest scene, kind of the mountains. You get all kinds of weather, and it's still not an incredibly far away from New York.
But we're definitely mountain, not Midwest.
My apologies. Yeah, I'm still getting used to.
We don't want to be lumped in with Kansas and Nebraska and
God forbid.
Oklahoma and all these other Midwest flatlands. Cool, man. So why processing other than you saw the business, the opportunity? There's so many things you can go into. We've heard some presentations from individuals that are taking different looks on the industry. What is your background that led you to where you think this is it for you, the processing? Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not it for you. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows at this point? I've made a lot of headway, I think, in the food processing aspect. But, again, my background was in finance. That's what I got my bachelor's degree in. I was working 2 years at a distressed debt hedge fund. And my background before that was retail sales.
Okay.
Clothing. I did car sales at one point when I actually moved out here, starting up with a new startup company. Pretty interesting sales theory they had. It was all salaried, no commission.
Oh, was it the John Elway?
No, it was Echo Park Automotive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so interesting place. But as far as, food processing, seed oil processing and sales, don't have experience in that per se, but the retail sales experience is there. Business-to-business experience is there. I was buying bankruptcy claims at this hedge fund, so talking to general counsels, CFOs, CEOs, all the good stuff. Spending 9 hours a day on the phone.
Tax liens also, and foreclosing on grandmas. And
no, not necessarily. Thankfully, I didn't get into that.
Food is actually one of the more personal things I'm interested in the hemp realm. I love the food industry, and I've tried. I don't know. I've probably met small handful of people doing food processing stuff, and I have a couple complaints about food processing that maybe you will have the opportunity to either mitigate in the future or just give me some straight answers right now.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Why can flavor not be added into hemp in such a way that when somebody serves me their quote-unquote hemp hamburger, it doesn't taste like stale cardboard? Why, just because it's hemp, does that mean it has to be devoid of flavor? I mean, it has a flavor, but of a flavor that we could associate with, so there's not such a crash in taste buds.
I hear you. It can be done. Hemp foods as a market, I think, is something new relative to the last decade. And people are still experimenting with what hemp seeds can be turned into, whether it's cheese or, milks.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know a woman who makes hemp cheeses.
Now, this is an oil-based hemp being processed into a cheese, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I've had
it's like
cheeses like this before because I personally try to avoid eating meat and dairy myself. I'm not a vegan per se, and I only say that because I have no political attachment to it whatsoever. It's more of a health issue and an environmental issue. I'm more of an environmentalist than I am a political aspect in the vegan side of things, and it's definitely not a religious thing. I've tried these cheeses that were soy-based, I guess, and it was absolutely disgusting. It smelled gross. It melted weird. It had this oily compound residue left behind, and I was turned off from alternative cheese. So now when I make my own pizzas with the whole food crust, I just make it cheeseless. I just make a cheeseless, meatless pizza, which is basically bread with sauce on it, if you're wondering.
I'm all about pizza, being from New York, so
yeah,
I hear you.
But what's your angle on food in this? Because obviously it's not just a business, right? You have to think about people, the consumers, people eating this and coming back for it, and the interaction of how this is going to integrate into restaurants and food stands and home kitchens and the whole deal. What is your angle on food?
So in general, I like industrial hemp because it hits all the major, basically buzzwords right now in the market. Gluten-free, vegan, organic, high protein content, omega-3s and 6s, all the good omega fatty acids. And just being on the side where we're processing this stuff and providing it to the market as a raw material for them to use, we want to be able to drive that kind of innovation to see exactly what kind of great things people can make from industrial hemp, and not this, these knockoffs that you might see and find one-off in certain areas. So in cheese in particular that I mentioned, one of the sponsors here at the event, Carla Boyd with Hempway Foods, she's the one who made the cheese. She also had it at the NOCO Expo, so she was debuting it there as well. Great product. You couldn't really tell it was any kind of plant-based.
Does she make also
cheese
the
at all.
tacos? I think I might know her.
Her partner as well, Sarah Gordon, makes those. They work together a lot, and she's they
are
make
you a
great
foodie
products.
though, per se? I mean, are you
food.
somebody who cooks and seeks out food? Do you go to restaurants? Are you in food? Where when you're processing a non-traditional ingredient for food, are you able to be in that world where you can understand this is good food, this is not good food, this is flavor and texture, and this is how chefs work with food? Are you in that world? Is that going to be a barrier, or is that something that's going to facilitate what you're doing?
Before, I have brought 3 other partners along with me from New York. One of them, his father is a chef, so he grew up in that lifestyle. He's kind of the one to translate all that. He's also somewhat of a coffee connoisseur. He was working with La Colombe coffee roasters on the East Coast. Big company, or a growing company. They just brought in $50 million of an investment from the Chobani founders last year. So he comes from that side, and I'm learning about all the textures and exactly what the consumers at the end of the day want. And, we want to do all that research and bulk up the research that's already been done in Canada to show, what do we want to come out of the ground, so I can get this certain texture or quality or oil content at the end of the day. And a lot of that still has to be done. Being here at the Research Foundation event, it's kind of a testament to that. And it's great to see so many people becoming interested in industrial hemp and research in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's growing in all aspects. So any business that you have that's hemp related has a chance, right?
Right.
There's a possibility. Are you doing a seed to sale involvement? Are you just taking a slice of the process? What's your overall infrastructure here?
A city kid from New York coming out here and trying to grow industrial hemp from the ground, to me, sounded insane. Our model is to come out here, buy the equipment to process the seeds, clean them, sort them, all that good stuff, but really contract all the production out to farmers who already know what they're doing. And again, at this point, it's farmers who are willing to think more progressively and take that risk to grow a crop that we don't have any certified varieties, that we can get into the States easily. The DEA still blocks shipments from Canada, France, Italy, wherever it might come from. But we've had a very entrepreneurial environment here in Colorado, also backed by the Colorado Department of Ag. Dwayne Sinning and the program he's built up there is great.
It's an excellent strategy. I mean, you might as well, because farmers need what you're doing. You need farmers. You trying to do both is not really helping anybody.
You got to pick your vertical.
Right.
We don't want to do everything. We understand we don't know how to do everything.
Yeah.
So we take a realistic approach to that.
The good thing about if you're going after seeds is that you don't just have to rely on outdoor grows. If you're growing hemp for seeds, you can look at indoor facilities also, which gives you more opportunity of geographically, maybe who you contract with and where you contract. Are you going to take this to the end retail, or are you just going to produce and process for somebody else to then take a raw product and make something out of it?
The plan from the very beginning was always to do bulk wholesale, providing 55-gallon drums of seed oil, maybe 25-gallon drums, 50-pound bags of whole hemp seed hearts, protein powder, flour, things of that sort. And very recent, as far as the last 2 weeks go, we're pretty much, me and my team are going to be rolling up into Pure Hemp, Pure Vision Technologies. They've got great patented technology to work on the fibers. Their founders saw our focus on hemp foods, over the last year and a half, not getting swayed into CBDs and every other part of the market. And
which
they decided
is a market,
to bring us.
I guess,
it
to
is.
Consider.
Yeah, it's new, it's flashy, and there's a lot of capital being thrown into it right now. and that's bringing margins and prices and everything way down over the last 6 months. There was a chart up earlier.
We're talking about the CBD produced hemp.
CBD produced hemp.
Yeah, and that's going to have its own world of regulation and everything.
We don't want to get involved with
and it's
all
probably
that
for
oversight.
the best. I would say, stick with a product that you can sell in a King Soopers or a 7-Eleven, and not so much products that require limited distribution or specialized locations or purchasing or
once we get a bulk supply of seeds and stock material in the state or anywhere growing, then you have companies like mine coming in and processing it and making it into materials that other companies can use to make their brands.
Yeah.
And then, we do private labeling, things of that sort, helping those other companies get off the ground.
Where are you looking at building your, factories? Is that what we could call them?
So at the end of the day, I do also want to kind of fabricate plug-and-play factories or facilities that do seed and stock processing and help plug those in around different states as they start getting started up with hemp production. Right now, our partners at Pure Hemp have a facility up in Fort Lupton, and we're looking at a few sites around the state to expand into the world's first hemp biorefinery.
Very cool. If you're looking for land, I got 70 acres south of the state in Trinidad, just a couple miles from the border of New Mexico there, right off exit 6. 70 acres that the group I'm with is looking to lease out in parcels for outdoor growing or throw greenhouses on them and do indoor growing. This is actually a ghost town that was bought up, formerly condemned ghost town that still has 100 foundations on them. It has a church still on it. It has water and mineral rights. It was bought up and basically told, you can build on it, you can have the water and mineral rights, and you can lease the land back out for other personal
Sounds like a great buy.
Yeah. So I'm involved in another group where we're building actually a small factory for energy. We're building a Bitcoin facility, and we're going to run that Bitcoin by some alternative energy that we're creating ourselves.
Awesome.
So basically it takes out the only cost of producing Bitcoin, which is the energy.
Right. So farming, essentially, Bitcoin farming?
Mining. Yeah.
Ooh, mining. Yeah, rather.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Which is going to be very closely related to the cannabis industry in the coming future with blockchain and the whole...
I know some guys back in New York who do Bitcoin brokering and all that. Yeah. I've got a buddy who wrote a white paper on it, how to value it.
Nice.
Could definitely talk more about that too.
Yeah. It's one of my other podcasts I'm involved in. Is one that focuses on cryptocurrency. It's going to be big, and I think there's going to be a big crossover in the cannabis industry. But that's a whole separate topic.
For sure.
Okay, so this isn't long form today, so let's get another good piece of information that we can.
My biggest message ever since I moved out to Colorado and decided I was going to advocate for the hemp industry and build a business and help build a market in a new crop was that it had to be done responsibly. I did a lot of the research on how the Canadian processors, particularly Hemp Oil Canada and Manitoba Harvest, started out in 1998, how they helped build out the market, the growing pains that they had from the get-go with, a farming co-op, signing up with a third party, another processor that ended up going bankrupt in the first year. They left farmers on the hook with a bunch of seed supply that they couldn't do anything with. So whenever I have these conversations, I like to tell people, if you're going to put it in the ground, try to have a production contract in place. Try to know where your seed and your stock is going to be going after you pull it out of the ground, because you don't want to sit there with 6, 7, 8 months of work that you just put into the ground, and now it's just sitting there getting old. So know your market, know where to go with the materials that you do grow, and work on those partnerships early before you put anything in the ground. And then also think about the quality of the seeds that you're putting in the ground. A lot of the crops in Colorado right now not growing to what they could be as far as on a yield basis, and that's because we've got seeds in the state that are from other parts of the country. They found their way in somehow, and they're not suited to the Colorado climate. Even though hemp itself is a hardy plant and you can grow it in multiple environments, if you're trying to get a reasonable harvest that's uniform and easy to chop down at the end of the day, a lot of work still has to be done to make that a viable thing for commercial grade farmers here in Colorado.
Contact information?
Sure. Phone number, it's a New York area code 917-379-5553. Email, the best one to reach me out would be Gregory@indprocessors.com, website of the same name. And our social media, as far as Twitter and Facebook, are the same. We've got a presence on all those. A lot of that's going to change in the coming future with the things that we're working on.
change the name, or just the website's going to update?
The name, the rolling up into Pure Hemp is exciting for us.
Oh, no. You can't give out a name and then tell people it's going to change in the future.
Well, that's the thing about the industry, though, still, is that it's still very new and a lot will change.
Well, then we need a non-changing place where people can find you. Do you have like a LinkedIn account or something?
Oh, yeah. Gregory Flores.
Change?
Gregory Flores is my name on LinkedIn. Presence there as well. All my business information's on there.
Excellent, man. It was good learning about you. My show is basically a community show, so it's here to promote those in the cannabis industry. So just keep the email and send me stuff if you want to come back on the show, promote more stuff, or whatever you want to do.
Awesome. Yeah, there'll be things in the future to announce for sure.
Cool, man. It was good to meet you.
Thanks.
Enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you.
There you have it, Cannapreneurs. That's all I have for you this week, but make sure to stay in touch with us. Stay with us on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, all the networks out there, even Mass Roots and YouTube. Make sure to follow us every week right here. Leave your comments, give us your feedback, be on the show. We want to see you every week. This is your community, so make sure to come back. We'll see you next week.